Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So here's a newly updated version of my Salamangreat deck. So a few weeks ago I updated this, trying out different theories, and sadly to say that my theories weren't working out as well as I had initially thought they were going to, especially now that the meta's kind of like settled in. We now know what the best decks are. So I decided to go back, reconstruct the deck in a different direction, and yep, finally found the way that I need to go about it. So anyway, hopefully you guys will enjoy this deck profile, and let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the main deck's still 40 cards. For the Salad Engine, of course, 1 Gazelle, 2 Foxy, 2 Jack Jaguar, 2 Spinny, and of course 1 Falco. So Gazelle, as you already know, is the starter. She dumps any of your salad cards. Foxy, being a pot of duality, also has a graveyard effect where you can special summon it from the grave by discarding a salad card, and you can pop a face of spell or trap if you so desire, so it's a good way to deal with floodgates. Jack Jaguar being your recursion, Spinny an extender piece, and of course Falco being another extender, but also recycle some of your spells and traps by sending them back to the field. So yeah, Falco, all great cards. So anyway, that's pretty much it for the Salad Engine itself. For the Cybers Engine, I'm playing 3 copies of Flame Buffalo. I'm no longer running Debug. Debug is just not doing it for me right now, especially because Cypher Gear Gamma is such a powerhouse card right now. A lot of decks are using it. It also loses to cards like Effect Veiler and Impermanence anyway too. Whereas Flame Buffalo, what's really cool about this card is that not only does it help fix your hand, but you can chain block it, so that way you don't have to worry about cards like Ash Blossom. So like if you link it up for a Balinks, make Balinks chain link 2, you're guaranteed your draw 2 with Flame Buffalo. So yeah, Buffalo to me is just a little bit better right now. And yeah, that's really all I can say about it. Plus it's recurable too, so that's pretty nice. 3 copies of Parallel Exceed. I finally got a full playset of the super rares. I'm happy with it. But anyway, Parallel Exceed, easily one of your best extenders. It becomes a level 4 once it's summoned out by its own effect. And easily for rank 4 plays, or if you just need a link climb to your access code talker, this card really helps with that situation. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright, so for hand traps, starting off with 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is literally one of the best hand traps right now. It stops so many decks. And plus the fact that it's recurable, so you basically get to recur Ash Blossom almost every turn with Sunlight Wolf's effect, so yeah. Next, 3 Ghost Spell. Ghost Spell is now making its way into my main deck simply because it stops so many cards too, like especially from the graveyard. It stops Nadir Servant, so that really comes in clutch. So yeah, it's a good way to deal with like graveyard reliant effects or just cards that basically revive. So yeah, Ghost Spell is just making a huge impact this format. Next, my new addition, well, technically it's been in a deck in the past before, but I'm bringing it back, DD Crow. DD Crow is another good powerhouse hand trap, especially because for example, the Eldritch deck. Their trap cards generally activate in the end phase, but if you banish them before that, they cannot replace themselves. Titanclad, his effect to search activates during the end phase. You get rid of Titanclad, they don't get their Dogmatica searches. There's just so many things. Cypher Gear Gamma, which, believe it or not, some Dogmatica decks dump it with the effect of Maximus. Get rid of that. That card will never be able to recur resources again. So, yeah, DD Crow is just such a good card. I would definitely recommend it. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the hand traps. I'm only running 8 in this deck. Starting off now, moving on to spells. 3 copies of Signet Mining. This is a good way to search out your Cybers cards. 2 Pot of Desires. 3 is just too much. I always draw into the 3rd one, so yeah, I kind of like bumping down Desires to just 2. I'm running a bunch of 1-ofs now. 1 Salamangreat Sanctuary, 1 Will now. I was running 2, but I decided to bump it down to just 1 simply because the Salad Engine is just so small. I feel like Will, just 1 is fine, and plus it's recurable also, so you never generally have to worry about it. 1 Salamangreat Circle, and of course Monster Reborn in case if you open up with both Will and Reborn. It's just a good way because, Will is a hard once per turn, so Monster Reborn basically just acts as another way to extend. And of course, Harpy's Feather Duster is just a good way to deal with like back row heavy strategy since, we are in a control format. Going second, Harpy's Feather Duster does come in clutch, so if you draw into it, well, hey, there you go. Alright, now moving on to traps, and I actually am running quite a good number of them. I'm now running 3 copies of Solemn Strike. Solemn Strike is so good this format because it outs so many things, like if you could just stun your opponent and with just a small cost of 1,500 points of your own points, you can basically just flat out win games this way if your opponent doesn't have a good follow-up. It outs just like it's a good way just to stun your opponent, essentially. That's really all I can say about it. And Solemn Strike, you know, like again, it's a card that can essentially help you win games if your opponent's just not prepared for it. 2 copies of Salamangreat Reward. So if your opponent does have their own Feather Duster in their deck, it's a good way to kind of basically counter against that, so that way you don't get punished for all your back row. I'm now bumping Rage back up to 2 simply because I want to see it a lot more now, because it basically pops any card. So yeah, Salamangreat Rage is still really good. And of course, let's not forget about Imperial Order, another card that combats like back row removal, because like most of it's going to be in spell form. So yeah, Imperial Order is still really good. It also outs Forbidden Droplet if your opponent doesn't discard a trap card. Yeah, Imperial Order just puts in a lot of work, so I'm still running it. And plus, like, if I ever need to get rid of it myself, I can always just pop it with Foxy's Effect later. So yeah, Imperial Order is still an amazing powerhouse card too. So yeah, definitely try it out. All right, now moving on to the extra deck. The extra deck really needs no explanation. It's exactly the same as before. Triple Balinks, you know, triple Sunlight Wolf, double Heat Leo, 1 Almirage. As I mentioned before, you just summon a hand trap if you need to go that route, in case if you don't open up with any of your combo pieces. This and Exceed in your hand will just, like, yeah, definitely help. So yeah, moving on, 1 Splash Mage, 1 Update Jammer, Transcode Talker and Access Code Talker for OTK purposes. My 2 rank 4s are going to be Baguska and Abyss Dweller. So everyone already knows what these do. So again, no explanation required. All right, side deck's a little different. I did make some slight adjustments. I'm still running 3 Artifact Lancia. Lancia is just so good right now. 3 Droll and Lockbird, mainly for the Drytron matchup. I cut Nibiru down to 2 because this is not a combo-heavy format. It's really generally good against Zoo. Yeah, you can argue that Virtual World is also vulnerable to it, but sometimes they'll turbo into Calamities long before you even get a chance to slap Nibiru down, and they'll just shut you down anyway. Drytron can kind of play around it, especially with Herald of the Orange Light or Herald of Ultimateness. So yeah, like Nibiru is just not doing it as much as I would like it to, but again, against certain rogue matchups like Dragon Link or even Dragon Maid, you could possibly, this card could possibly win you the game sometimes too. So don't underestimate it, but again, like, it just has to be for the right format, or for the right matchup. So it's kind of a mixed bag with Nibiru right now. 2 Forbidden Droplet, only because I only own 2, but Forbidden Droplet is still really good. It's really good this format right now. So against the Drytron and even the Virtual World matchup, like because this deck can't afford to discard trap cards, by the way, because they're all recurable. So Forbidden Droplet really will come in handy if you have access to it. If you don't, you know, like cards like Book of Moon is still really good. Book of Moon is surprisingly underestimated right now, so like try it out, you know. 2 Cosmic Cyclones in case if I really need it, and I'm actually citing out Impermanences. Impermanence is still a really good hand trap, but sometimes it has to depend on the right matchup to use it. So like sometimes I'll cite it in against like decks that don't rely on graveyards, but again, that's kind of what we're dealing with right now anyway. So again, it has to be for the right matchup. Whereas where Impermanence can become clutch, because like Virtual can actually play around this card, believe it or not. So yeah, like I feel like putting it on the side was just fine. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will catch you guys again next time.